My name is Bojana, and I have a great privilege to be today here to talk to you. I come from a very small land, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and you cannot imagine how many friends of mine and colleagues are jealous at me today for being here. It's my first time that I leave Europe, and I'm first time in Asia, and I'm incredibly full of impressions, and it's a great privilege again to talk to you today. I will share with you some experience that I have on my work with Euroclio. I was 25 years old, and I was just starting my career as a teacher. Already worked for 1 year in school where I was going before, where I was a student. So, when I started my career, I was full of energy. I thought this is great, really, this is perfect, I can do it. I always want to make it more. Next September, another school year started. I figured out that I'm not working on the same level of energy as I was working before. So I was thinking, all over again, another year, and that year passes by. My third year, my director came as a way of inspection in my classroom. On the end of the class, we were going out, and he asked me a question. Are you working like this every class? I said, yes. And then he said, be careful. You have to work another 40 years. Save your energy. In that moment, really, I had physical reaction, like red lights start to booming, and I was thinking, my God, I cannot do this like this another 40 years. I won't be. I cannot stand it, because my energy was lower and lower. And then, like in many other cases in your life, when you really want something and you don't know exactly what it is, the wisdom, the God, whatever, good spirits just throw it then to you. I was home for a weekend, and a colleague of mine from the university invited me and said, okay, look, little one, he called me like that, can you communicate in English? I said, maybe, I don't know. He says, let's go, there is a seminar for history teachers, and everything is covered, just let's go to see what will happen. I said, yeah, I will go. And on that seminar, there were Euroclio people. And then I realized the way, the work they do. I can tell you, I couldn't wait Monday to come, to go in my classroom, really to implement what I have learned there. This was my experience. So after, 13 years, I'm here giving the presentation to Korean teachers. So this is perfect, and I'm very happy because of it. Last 13 years, I was working with Euroclio, volunteering for many, many times, and this is my true passion. Unfortunately, I don't work as a teacher anymore in the school, because in my country it's almost impossible to employ new teachers. I work in an NGO, but I'm kind of connected with teaching through Euroclio, and I will show you how. Okay, when I was starting how to prepare this presentation, I was thinking, where should I start? So I said, okay, this is a map of Europe, and I want to show you the region where I come from. The yellow part is an area known as the Balkans. Someone might call it former Yugoslavia. We have very long history of all the nations living together. That history is history of good relations, but also very violent conflicts. The recent one happened 20 years ago. And unfortunately, many of people who are living now there will say the war has stopped, but it's not ended, unfortunately. So, oops, I didn't want that. Where's my other map? Oh, one has disappeared. Okay, I had a larger image of the Balkans, but basically the countries that I'm involved with Euroclio working is Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Macedonia, and Albania. The languages we are speaking are more or less very similar, but we call them with a different names. If I exclude Albania, all the other countries understand each other pretty well. We call it's our language among the friends. Basically, if you go in a political way, then you have to be very precise and says exactly which language are you talking. But we said our language. Okay, I will give you just a short information about Euroclio manifesto, actually some principles of high quality history, heritage and citizenship education. So Euroclio does not attempt to transmit a single truth about the past. Also, there is no deconstruction of it does deconstruct historical myths and stereotypes. Also, we are trying to raise this awareness on the fact that the past is perceived differently. Also, we promote long-term reconciliation in divided societies. Just a short explanation for me, Yugoslavia was a country where I was born, and I really think that every country of the former Yugoslavia is my country. My children do not have that idea. They have totally different perspectives. Also, we recognize that its significance is related to current experience and challenges. Also, we are trying to introduce global perspectives and encompasses the multiple dimensions of the study of the past. Also, we are trying to address human values, beliefs, attitudes, and dispositions. And also, we embrace cultural, religious, and linguistic diversity in the region. So, I will tell you now something about the history education in ex-Yugoslavia countries. This is an image of one temple, if we look upon the education as a temple. So, it is based on curriculum, textbooks, and teaching, and down there are the teaching standards we have to follow. This is how we want to be, and we really think it should be like this. But in reality, it looks slightly bit different, like this. It's a little bit shaking. So not the elements are on the right position, unfortunately. So this is how situation looks today. But working with Euroclio in the Balkans, we are asking very often ourselves, should we use history education as a weapon or a tool? It's up to us. Are we going to be responsible educators and educate generations which will be dedicated towards reconciliation and sustainable living next to each other or together? So, history education very often is teaching and learning about the truth. When I try to explain to my students actually how I see history, I said it's not black, it's not white, it's somewhere in a gray area. It can be dark gray, it can be light gray, but it depends of interpretation. But what is historical truth? I missed some images, it's impossible. Okay, doesn't matter. So, I'll go back, I will continue. So, history education, if we use as a weapon, then we ask some questions. For example, if you ask your student, who is older, our or other nation? We will say, we, always. If we ask, who came first? Of course, we. Then, who has historical rights? We, not them. Then if we ask, who is the victim? Always we, you know? What are the results of these kind of questions in teaching? We will have controversies and sensitivities. Some issues, if you are teaching them in this way, will be always controversies. Then we have misunderstanding, and we are raising up intolerance toward the others. Of course, we are, how to say, always develop more stereotypes and prejudice. They are the enemy. We are the true nation or true people. Then we have division into we and them. The consequences of that is always conflict and divided society, unfortunately. This is how it is right now in the education system in former Yugoslavia. This is how it is in my country. And in my country, we have 3 nations, 3 different curriculums, 3 languages, and now we have 13 ministries of education. I'll repeat, 13 ministries of education. Imagine. And 3.5 million of inhabitants. But this is how situation is today in our school. But what is the Euroclio answer to this? It's multi-perspectivity. When I'm trying to explain what multi-perspectivity is to my students, I always say, after when we finish the class, some of you will leave it and says, it was extremely boring. I almost fell asleep. Another one will say it was like, okay, I could stand it. Someone will say it was good. Someone will say, I learned just one new thing. So it means that we do not have to have the same opinion about the same event, fact, whatever. So multi-perspectivity is extremely important, just to be aware that the different people are having different perspectives, different views to a same fact, situation, events, whatever. So what we did in the Balkan countries within the Euroclio network, we started to work in year 2000 between Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Albania. Here you just see some cover pages of the textbooks that we developed. First one, the green one, is from Macedonia, Albania, and Bulgaria. The next one, ordinary people in extraordinary country, we started to work on it 2003, year 2003, between Serbia, Bosnia, and Croatia, just 8 years after the war. Imagine that. We sat together as teachers and started developing the material. Then the yellow one, lower, retelling the history, is an attempt between Albanian and Macedonian teachers in Macedonia to try to solve some burning issues. And this Once Upon a Time is the latest between all Balkan countries publication, and that one is translated into 8 different languages. I will give you now just a short idea how do we work. We had a good situation and we are happy because of the language we do can understand each other. But who is involved into that? So, Euroclio always work with the local teachers. The teachers actually who are working in elementary schools, gymnasiums, or vocational educational schools. Because in our countries, it is a situation that textbooks are written by the academics. Teachers, professors or researchers who are working at universities or at institutes. The problem with that textbooks is they are knowledge-based. It's just text, some maps, some photographs, just in a cosmetic purpose, nothing serious. And also there are no skills orientation at all. Also, those textbook authors have no idea how looks like a student of 12 or 15, because they are not aware of that. In Euroclio, we really want to have people who are practitioners, who are in the schools, knowing actually what students can, want, etc., etc. Also, we are very much aware that technology is changing our society in many ways, and that it's almost difficult for students just to sit 6 hours in a school every day, just listening to lecturing. Let us give them something to do, really. Also, in Euroclio initiative, we always have common development of new educational resources. We do not attempt to provide the textbook that will be in use, like Julia says, as a holy Bible, this is one and only truth. We are always providing additional materials for the teachers. This is one attempt. This is how we see the things. Try to use it, or at least try to use some methods of teaching and learning that can be interesting to students in material that we produce or in any other. Also, we are very much dedicated to networking and dialogue, because in all the publications that we produce, there is not a single sentence or a letter that it is in that someone was unhappy with. Negotiations, negotiations, negotiations. It's always very important until we have a paper which is suitable for all counterparts. Then, capacity building is extremely important. Unfortunately, our teachers at the university level are trained to be researchers. They are lacking the skills of teaching students. 10 years ago, my country decided to implement something what we call inclusion education. That means that the students with disabilities, any kind of disabilities, should be educated in a classroom with other kids who has no disabilities. This is great, but the teachers were not prepared to that, and that created a total mess and a chaos. In my very first class in my life ever, I figured out that I have a student who is blind. And I had no skills at all to know how to deal with it. No one actually showed me. And this is now the problem with any other skills for the students. Critical thinking, this is what our Ministry of Education always wants. Let's develop critical thinking. But no one actually told you how to do it. No one gives you the tools. They want us to make a house of bricks, but we have no bricks. We have to make them by ourselves. We are aware of that. So capacity building for the teachers is always important for us. We are traveling a lot, giving trainings, seminars, workshops, materials to teachers, just to show them some new teaching techniques. Also, we are always trying to be in connection with other projects, other partners in the country and in the region, just to avoid the repetition. We are really trying to build a strong partnership. Also, professionalization of History Teachers Association is very important. Like Dean says in the beginning, Euroclio is like a big umbrella. The organization of the history teachers in my country was established thanks to Euroclio. They came and they encouraged us. In that moment, 2003, they trust in us much more than we trust to ourselves. Today, we have strong association, full of professionals, and we are really developing our own project only in Bosnia. And we are managed really to raise funds, to explore more, to have good connections, etc., etc. What are the challenges? This is another word for problems, I will call it. I won't say that we do not have any challenges or problems. The multi-perspective approach is very difficult to implement in the classroom. Why? Ministries of education are expecting and wanted that our students are just repeating what we lecture to them. And this is the only thing that you can actually grade. When you do skillful teaching, then it's very difficult and demands much more time to grade them. But it's better for the students and for the teachers. Also, we still have some problems remaining in the textbooks. They are very nationalistic, very. Also, in-service history teachers' education and training is very poor. That means teachers do have only one seminar per year that is organized by the ministries. And what they say, every August before the school year, they say, this is a textbook. The school year will start September 1st. The first break will be December 25th, wherever. Do you have any questions? No? Go home. And that's professional training. We are trying to work differently. We really always try to please our teachers in a way that we want them to feel comfortable when they come with us. We do not force them. We really want to build the atmosphere of friendship. And I can tell you that Euroclio is a great family. I have friends and colleagues for so many years and I really very often consider them as my family. Just to prove that, last night, it was almost 2 o'clock in the morning here, my colleague from Macedonia called me and says, I'm in Bosnia and I'm coming to your place. Just like that. And I know him only from the project, which is great. These are cherished the most. Also, we are trying to somehow to push our educational authorities to make some changes in curricula. Because curricula is a list of themes and the subject that has to be implemented during the school year. This is not just our idea, this is also one of the EU policies. And our country really wants to become members of the European Union. So membership means that we really do have to make some major changes in our society, including education. Also, we are cooperating with intergovernmental organizations which are very influential in our countries. This is Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is working a lot in the education, especially in history education. We are partners with them. They recognize us as important partners. And also, what we want to achieve is a further professionalization of history teaching. We really want to have teachers who won't use history education as a weapon. So, if we use a history education as a reconciliation tool, we will ask a slightly bit different questions. Like, how it happened? Why has it happened? What are the consequences? What is the legacy? The answer is always multi-perspective. You cannot answer to these questions by yes or no. This is not a simple question. They really demand students to think and to elaborate why do they think, what happened, how it has happened. Results of these questions and answers is always empathy and respect. Also, understanding and tolerance. Then open-minded people, really. We don't have to think the same, all of us. Then this is unity in diversity, in multicultural society. Consequences is peace. What we really want so hard, and multicultural societies. You see the difference between education, history education, as a weapon or as a tool. If we are using as a tool, that means much more harder work for teachers. But while I was working as a teacher in school, my first idea was always very self-oriented. I want to have fun. I want to feel good. Because I was always able to squeeze some answers. Then, if I'm having fun, if I feel comfortable in my classroom, my students will do the same. By using multi-perspective approach, what is the benefit for the teachers? They will ask us, why do we have to teach like that? So it's much more work for us, the salary will stay the same, the colleagues won't understand us, you know, but I have an answer to that. By multi-perspective approach, teachers will enable students to engage in guided discussions. Just to give you some answers, really. It is like a tennis match, really. The ball will go from another side to another. Then we are going to activate them on controversial topics by making them aware that their opinion about something is important to us. Also, we will motivate students by the methodology of critical thinking and multi-perspectivity. And also, they will appreciate the opportunity to develop their own points of view. Yesterday, I experienced that here in Korean classroom. It was great, really. I asked students a question, and they have two different answers on the same question. And they really had a strong argument for each of them. So, for the students, there will also some skills will be developed, like civic courage, trust for learning, ability to peaceful disagree, dialogue and critical reflection, sense of responsibility, etc., etc. Many skills will be developed by students. Also, teachers who is involved in our project. Teachers from all Balkan countries. Also, we developed materials in common past from almost 100 years, 20th century we covered. Then we developed some collaborative understanding, peer learning and peer review of the materials that were developed. We were piloting our materials in schools, what it means. We developed something and we wasn't sure is that okay or not. So we asked colleagues, take that to your classes. Try to perform with students and tell us what students think. What should we change? Is it too much? Is it too less? Is it understandable? Not understandable? This is always questions for us. Also, many teachers attending to international training and seminars, which is a great benefit. Also, they are developers, trainers, implementators as one. And also, this is like long-term investment in human capital. Because in Euroclio, we always think that the bottom-up approach is most important. Like investing in people. It's a horrible word, but investing, but it's important. Now think, if average teacher has approximately 300 students every year, for 10, 20 years, this is too many students, really, that you are very influential with. So, this is the social channels where you can find us. We are very active in Facebook. There is active Facebook group. There are profiles on Twitter, on LinkedIn. There is also an email. I didn't include traditional post address because no one sends letter anymore. But these are the channels where you can find us. Thank you very much.